Good morning, it's me Blandina. In this video, we'll see a new topic, Cry the Beloved Country by Alan Paton. In this, we have three books actually, book 1, book 2 and book 3, and we may call it part 1, part 2 and part 3. So in this video, we will see uh, first two chapters from part 1. Okay, there is a lovely road that runs from Isapo into the hills. The road carries 7 miles, that is 11 kilometers, into them to Carisbrooke. So in the text it was given 7 miles. If you calculate that into kilometers, it comes 11 kilometers. So the road from Isapo to Carisbrooke is 7 miles or 11 kilometers. There you may hear the cry of Titioya. Titioya is a bird. Below that, there is a valley of the Umzimkulu. So you can see the valley of Umzimkulu. Beyond and behind the river, great hill after great hill, and beyond and behind them, the mountains of Ingeli and East Griqualand. So in the first chapter, these are all the names mentioned. What is the name of the valley? It is Umzimkulu. And what are the mountains? Ingeli and East Griqualand. So the author is saying, stand upon the ground without shoes, for the ground is holy, as it comes from the Creator. Keep it, guard it, care for it. It keeps men, guards men, cares for men. Destroy it, and man is destroyed. So, in the beginning of the chapter, the author is saying that the land is very rich, and you can see the grass on the land. So he's saying, don't stand upon the land with your shoes on, because it came from the Creator. So it came from God. So keep it, guard it, and care for it. If you do that, the land will keep men, it will keep you, it will guard you and care for you. If you destroy the land, man will be destroyed. But what happens next? In the next few lines itself, the author is saying how the land changed its nature. So now the rich green hills break down and change their nature. Too many cattle to feed upon the grass, and fires have burnt it. It is not kept or guarded or cared for. It no longer keeps men, guards men, cares for men. The Titioya does not cry here anymore. So now the green hills break down and change their nature. And what happened to the grass? Too many cattle to feed upon it. And then what happened? The remaining grass has been burnt. See? So nobody kept or guarded and cared for the land. So the land is also no longer keeps men, guards men, cares for men. And now you cannot hear the cry of Titioya here. Next. So now the valley becomes, they are valleys of old men and old women, of mothers and children. So in that valley we can find only old men and women, mothers and children. What about others? The men are away. They went out to work in the mines. The young men and the girls are away. So in that valley now you can find only old men and old women of mothers and children. All the other young men and girls and boys are all away. So here ends the first chapter. And then chapter 2. Chapter 2 is, the title is The Letter. The small child ran to the wood and iron church with the letter in her hand. The name is not mentioned. So the church is made up of wood and iron. So the small child ran to the wood and iron church with the letter in her hand. Next to church was a house, and she knocked on the door. So she is bringing a letter to Stephen Kumalo. See, next to the church was a house, and she knocked on the door. The Reverend Stephen Kumalo said, "Come in." So he is Reverend, it means priest or parson. So he asked the girl to come in. The girl said, "The white man in the store asked me to bring it to you." So who gave the letter to the girl? The white man in the store. The letter came from Johannesburg. So the letter is from Johannesburg. In Johannesburg were many of his own people. So Kumalo's own siblings are in Johannesburg. Who are they? First, his brother John, who was a carpenter who had a business of his own in Sophia town, Johannesburg. So Stephen Kumalo's brother John, he is in Johannesburg now, and his sister Gertrude, who is 25 years younger than him, gone with her small son to look for her husband who had never come back from the mines. So his sister Gertrude is 25 years younger than Stephen Kumalo. And she went to Johannesburg to search for her husband. And he went to work in the mines, but he never came back. And then the third person is his only child, Absalom. He went to Johannesburg to look for his aunt Gertrude, and he had never returned. So these are the people mentioned. So his brother John, his sister Gertrude, and his only child, they are all in Johannesburg. So this Mr. Stephen Kumalo and Mrs. Kumalo always expects a letter from their brother or sister or son, but nobody writes nowadays. So when they got this letter, they don't know from whom it came from. So Mrs. Kumalo read out the letter. She reads Reverend Stephen Kumalo, St. Mark's Church, Ndotshini, Natal. And then the letter is from the Mission House, Sophia Town, Johannesburg, dated September 25th, 1946. So this is the from address. From here the letter came. So what is the content in the letter? Content of the letter. I met a young woman. Her name is Gertrude Kumalo. She is very sick. Come quickly to Johannesburg. Come to the Reverend Theophilus Umzimkulu, the mission house, Sophia town. So who wrote the letter? Theophilus Umzimkulu wrote the letter to Mr. Stephen Kumalo. So both Mr. and Mrs. Kumalo were thinking what to do. And then Stephen asked for the Saint Chad's money. This money was to send Absalom, their only son, to Chad's college. So they were saving money to send their only son to the college. But now they are taking it because Kumalo's wife is saying if anybody goes to Johannesburg, they never return. So our son is not going to return. So you can use the money. So she counted 12 pounds, 5 shillings, and 7 pence were there. So 12 pounds, 5 shillings, and 7 pence. And she is saying, though I saved it for chats, I meant it for you, because she knew already that Absalom is not going to return and he is not going to the chats college. So she meant it for her husband's new black clothes and a new black hat and a new white collars. So the total amount, 12 pounds, 5 shillings and 7 pence. Stephen is saying that I'll take only 8 pounds from it. 8 pounds, 5 shillings and 7 pence. See, I shall take 8 pounds and the shillings and the pence. So from these 12 pounds, he will take 8 pounds, 5 shillings and 7 pence. But Mrs. Kumalo is saying, no, you have to take it all, because there may be doctors, hospitals and other troubles in Johannesburg. And then she reminds him, take the post office book too. In it you can find 10 pounds. You must take that also. But Mr. Stephen Kumalo says that money we saved to buy a stove for you. But she says it is okay. Now this is very urgent. So, and they decide to go to Johannesburg the next day itself. Only Mr. Stephen Kumalo is going. So he planned to go from Carisbrook. And she sat down at his table and was silent with the patient suffering of black women, with the suffering of oxen, with the suffering of any that are mute. If you are mute, you cannot express your sufferings, right? And what about the oxen? If they are taking the ox to kill, will it express? No. So like that, she is suffering. So they are comparing her suffering to the suffering of oxen and with the suffering of any that are mute. Mute means silent. And then that chapter 2 ends with all roads lead to Johannesburg. So here ends first chapter and second chapter. So we will see the other chapters in the next video. Thank you.